Hello everyone, welcome back to Resource Geography. Soil is a living system. It is a medium that supports all living organisms, including we humans. So, in today's Resource Geography, we are going to look into soil as a resource, the ways it is getting affected due to various anthropogenic and natural processes, and the ways to conserve it. The word soil has been derived from the Latin word solum, which means the floor or the ground. In general, soil refers to loose unconsolidated particle on the surface of the earth. It is the most important renewable natural resource and a medium of plant growth and supports all the different types of organisms on earth. It takes millions of years for the soil to form up a few centimeters in depth. Generally, it is formed as a result of the process of weathering and the subsequent change and decomposition in the regolith matter. Relief, parent rock, climate, vegetation, and other forms of life, along with the time, is responsible for the formation of soil. The various forces of nature, such as change in temperature, actions of running water, wind, and glaciers, the activities of decomposers, all contribute to the formation of this resource. Chemical and organic changes which takes place in the soil are also equally important. The process of negative modification of the existing soil, either in terms of quality or quantity, is termed as soil degradation. The soil degradation not only affects the anatomy of the soil, but also results in the degradation of all other resources, especially the vegetation, as all these resources are depending upon the soil. Let's look into the major causes of degradation of soil resource. Deforestation is one of the prime factor of soil degradation. We all know that forests play an important role in maintaining the fertility of soil by shedding their leaves which contains many nutrients. They are also helpful in binding up of the soil particles with the help of the roots of the vegetation. Therefore, indiscriminate cutting of forest will affect the soil adversely, leading to soil erosion. Overgrazing is another major factor. With the increase in the livestock population, it results in the overexploitation of pastures. Due to this, the grass and other types of vegetation are unable to survive and grow in that area, and the lack of vegetative cover leads to soil degradation and erosion. Desertification is a widespread process of land degradation in semi-arid and dry subhumid areas, resulting from various factors, including climatic variations and human activities. The United Nations Conference on Desertification, which was held in the year 1977, has defined it as the destruction of the biological potential of land that can lead ultimately to desert-like condition. This has resulted in the widespread degradation of soil resource. Excessive mining and quarrying also badly affected and removed the topsoil. Increase in the concentration of soluble salts in the soil is termed as salinization. The excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides, high use of irrigation methods, and unscientific practices of agriculture all led to this salination problem, leading to the poor quality of soils. Besides, the excessive use of fertilizers for increasing the food production is a major concern. These uses has caused an imbalance in the quantity of certain nutrients in the soil and badly affects the vegetation soon. What is a soil erosion? The gradual process or the movement of upper layer of the soil by different agents of gradation, particularly water, wind, and mass movement, causing its deterioration in a long term is termed as soil erosion. It is a natural process of removal of the topsoil by the physical sources through wind and water. In this process, the soil particles are loosened or washed away in the valleys, oceans, rivers, streams, or faraway lands, and has been worsening due to the human activities such as agriculture and deforestation. There are three basic ways by which the soil is getting eroded: erosion through water, erosion through wind, and the mass movement. The water running over the surface of the soil is a far more serious cause of erosion in more parts of the world than the wind. Water only runs off the surface when the rate of rainfall exceeds the rate of infiltration. The action of this running water is categorized as rill erosion, gully erosion, sheet erosion, stream bank erosion, and slip erosion. The rill erosion generally occurs when the runoff water forms small channels as it concentrates down a slope. The rills can be generally up to 0.3 meter deep. The gully erosion occurs if these rills or the channels are deeper than 0.3 meter. It happens when the runoff concentrates and flows strongly enough to detach and move soil particles. And this process finally leads to the formation of badlands. The Chambal Valley in Madhya Pradesh is the best example of badland as a result of the river Chambal. The sheet erosion occurs when the water flows as a sheet over large areas, removing the entire topsoil. Under the stream bank erosion, the soil is removed either by the runoff flowing over the sides of the stream or by scoring and undercutting of soil below the water surface from the stream section. In the slip erosion, the entire field on the hillside may slide down due to the hydraulic pressure exerted by the moisture. Air currents with their momentary eddies and deflection pick up the soil materials in small quantities and transport it from one area to another and aid in the development of new soils. The tremendous effect of wind erosion process are found in flat, gently undulating tree-less regions. The so-called encroachment of desert can be attributed to the devastating result of soil erosion by the wind. Therefore, the wind erosion generally can be found in areas with little or no vegetation. It also happens in areas that receives scanty rainfall. So let's look into what is the need of the hour. The sustainable land management practice is right now what we require. It is defined as per the United Nations Earth Summit in 1992 held at Rio de Janeiro as the use of land resources including the soil, water, animals and plants for the production of goods to meet the changing human needs while simultaneously ensuring the long-term productive potential of these resources and maintain their environmental functions. Thus, there are two broad objectives under the sustainable land or the soil management. The objective number one is to maintain the long-term productivity of the ecosystem and function. And second is to increase the productivity of the goods and services in terms of quality, quantity, and diversity. Let's look into the major methodologies for sustainable land or the soil management practices that is widely adopted throughout the world. These management practices comprises of four different methods. These are the agronomic practice, the vegetative method, the structural method, and the management or the combination of all the above set methods. Under the agronomic practices, mulching is a widely accepted one. A mulch is generally organic, sometimes permanent, and sometimes temporary. In case of permanent, we use plastic sheets, and in case of temporary, we can use bark chicks or any organic materials. It is a protective covering spread or left on the ground to reduce the evaporation, maintain even soil temperature, prevent erosion, and to control the weeds. Mulch can be applied around the plants or on bare soil. Mulching is used commercially and in home gardens. If you are applying it correctly, mulching significantly improves the quality of the soil and reduces the erosion. Zero tillage is a way of growing crop each year without tilling the soil. This technique increases the amount of water that percolates into the soil and increases the retention of organic matter in the soil and thereby increase the recycling of nutrients in the soil. This has been generally shown to reduce or eliminate the soil erosion. Mixed cropping or intercropping or co-cultivation is the practice of growing simultaneously two or more crops on the same land. When the crops to be grown together are selected correctly, the products and the refuse from one crop plant helps in the growth of the other crop plant and vice versa. Thereby, this will improve the quality of the soil and reduces the erosion. Strip cropping is another method which can also help in the conservation of soil and moisture. It is the growing of a cultivated crop in strips alternating with the strip of a sod-forming crop. Generally, it is arranged to follow an appropriate contour of the land. The plants that are generally regular in nature are close-growing plants, such as hay or nitrogen-fixing legumes, are grown in alternative rows to reduce the depletion of soil nutrients and thereby improves the quality. Among the vegetative methods, the biological hedges are important one. The hedges are generally placed across the slope to slow down the overland flow. These can consist of live or dead materials of biological origin. Alley cropping, graded hedgerows, salt hedges comes under this category. The cover crops are primarily done to cover the surface of the soil, thereby reducing the erosion. The cover crops helps in the absorption of soluble nitrates, thereby building the soil health and nutrient retention, weed reduction, and controls the soil erosion. Forestry. The dense cover of vegetation is the most powerful weapon known for reducing the soil erosion. This forestry will obviously bind up the soil with their roots and thereby reduces the erosion of the topsoil. Among the mechanical or the structural methods, terracing is a widely accepted practice. This practice converts a steep slope into a series of steps with horizontal or nearly horizontal ledges and vertical or almost vertical walls between the ledges. These walls will be vulnerable to the erosion and is protected by the vegetative cover or sometimes with stones or concrete. Contour is another major method. The contour bunting or crops are generally planted along the contours or across the slopes. When the contour cultivation is practiced in hilly areas, the soil erosion becomes almost negligible as the contouring reduces the formation of gullies or the rills during heavy precipitation and thereby reduces the acceleration or the speed of the water that is moving. Among the other methods, the control of gullies and the windbreaks are commonly practiced. The gully control by the diversion of runoff proved to be an economical measure. The best method of controlling the existing gullies is to re-establish the vegetation. Sod checks are frequently used to stabilize the gully channels under intervening areas become vegetated. Two of the most important types are the sod strip and eroded earth fills. Windbreak is one of the principal methods of reducing the surface velocity of wind. As we all know that it reduces the abrasive and the transportation capacity of the wind by the vegetation. A windbreak is a barrier for the protection from the winds commonly associated with some homestead gardens or orchards, while a shelter belt is used a longer barrier than a windbreak, consisting of a combination of shrubs and trees intended for the protection of field crop from soil and moisture conservation point of view. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. For any doubts or queries, please post in the comment box or in the Edmodo. I wish everyone having a great learning experience. Thank you.